Hello everybody, the Lord Root here, and welcome back to another episode of Back to Basics. So we have to rescue Bob this mission, and I will do that, but we need to unlock a few things first. Normally, I think the thing that we would want to do here is finish out the tech tree, and I'm going to buy myself a few parts here. We want, this SRB. I've done a pre-build with it that is actually quite nice. And then on top of that, I want to make sure that we happen to have everything else we need. So I believe we need launch clamps. Struts we should already have. Oh, we have these guys here we need to get. And on top of that, we have a little bit of science that we can get as well, because while Bob isn't going anywhere in a while, we did pick up a contract that would be very helpful to us. And so all we have to do is take this reviewed data here, the stored data. I'm going to go ahead and transmit this temperature scan, because we can get it when we're rescuing Bob. There's other stuff we need not send. But we do have another temperature scan we can send along. And that will help Bob substantially. Okay, well, enough of that. Bob just has to wait to be rescued. However, because there's no life support in stock, what I'm going to do instead, before sending out his rescue vehicle, is I'm going to launch the PE-1. This is a specialized vehicle that is meant for interplanetary missions. I have a very small probe on top of it that can be sent to planets with an atmosphere, and we will just rename that right now. Let's go ahead and rename this vessel to PE-1-Eve. Whoa, okay, that is not what I wanted to do. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and launch here. I think there's no point in waiting. And while I'm at it, I'm going to simply zoom out and select Minmus as our target. Or Eve, rather. And let's get up to speed here. We're not quite inclined with Eve yet, but that'll be okay. Yeah, the idea is simply going to be that although our launch window is a little bit off from Eve, we're going to go ahead and send this guy over there, because this transfer stage here has close to 4,000 meters a second per delta V, or of delta V, and that will make it pretty interesting for us. And so I'm just going to wait for this guy to burn out. The nice thing about this sort of rocket here is that we really do not have to wait on much. Although, you know, I forgot to take one thing when I think we'll be okay. We have the science around Minmus, I believe, that popped up in testing that I'll want to take. And that will help us, because we already have a flag for, or a contract for landing a flag. Now, unfortunately, we have no way of seeing our inclination here. And that is somewhat unfortunate. It's main engine cutout right there. And something exploded. Not quite sure what, but let's go ahead and get ourselves pitched over here. It's not the most efficient way to use our fuel. But, it'll do. And you know what, I actually want to change our inclination just a little bit so that we're in line with this guy over here. We're at 108 meters per second. We are doing great on this fuel here. We want to really flatten this guy out. And there we go. Maybe not the best burn we could have, but we are circular, and that does give us a little bit of time to react here. Now, unfortunately, we are spending a fair amount of delta V just getting up into orbit. So I'm not going to completely circularize this because my trajectory was not optimal. We'll just... This is a 46 second burn here. Let's go ahead and burn now. And unfortunately, our apsis is still in the ground. We have way too much energy here. But that's okay, we have plenty of delta V. At this time we probably have close to... Oh, I don't know, let's just say, several hundred meters per second. And now we have this issue of us trying to get ourselves on a course with Eve. That will require some doing on our part. And so there's a couple of ideas here. We can simply do like that. And that will bring us close enough, I think. I'm going to rotate us in a little bit. And maybe there will be some things we can do to optimize this. Doing a plane change is one of them. Because if we can save fuel, all the better. We don't really need to at this point, but let's just hit that. I'm going to adjust my orbit just a little bit, so I will be right back. We are back, so it's worth pointing out that that didn't take too long. The total amount of delta V we're going to need is... Oh, let me just click this away here. This is 231 meters per second, and this is 2424. This does save us some time, and this isn't 110 days, so we don't really have to worry about it immediately. I'm just going to go ahead and get this burn going now. This is 3 minutes 3 seconds, so about a buck 31 or 32 should do it. But we will have to get into position first. So what I'm doing is I'm burning right when it turns dawn or close to it. And that basically means that I will be facing the sun whenever I make this burn here. And that allows me to use some of the energy of the sun, which we are about to take advantage of. Some of our energy of our orbit around the sun in order for us to make this thing go pretty well. So, yeah, you can see there's a lot going on. We are facing towards the ground, however, that'll be okay for now. We have a bit of inclination here, though not much. And we're going to do our mid-course plane change pretty close here. We're going to get into Eve's atmosphere and have it capture us. Now we're going to be coming in probably at quite a speed. And that'll be okay. But we will want this guy to be lowered quite a bit. We're now rotating to get our intercept close enough. And at first this seems counterintuitive because my apsis, my periapsis, is dipping below that of Eve's. But given that we have the fuel, you know, we might as well. And we will have plenty of fuel left. We're only at half, a little under half right now. So we're getting pretty close. If we can get that mid-course plane change maneuver to work as we wish. And let's see where we're at right now. We could lower this just a little bit until these guys match up. Maybe. There always is a little bit of slack here. We've used a little bit more, I think, than we're supposed to. But let's see where we're at right now. We are very slightly off course. And so the first thing we want to do is get rid of inclination. There's going to be a descending node there, so unfortunately, given our proximity to the planet, there's little we can do about that. And then it's going to be good for us to rotate in towards the planet as well. I really don't care which side of the planet we come across, as long as we come across one or the other. And all of a sudden, this has become quite a deal more of an issue. Might be better for us to tweak our inclination out here and then do our rotation where it's more efficient. Now we are on the complete other side of this, and it may help for us to focus on Eve, see what our axis is here. It'll make it a little bit easier. And reduce our deal here. I mean, I actually had ourselves a pretty good encounter for the most part. If we can just get around it. We'll have to come back and play around with this soon, I think. And figure out the best way to get into the planet's atmosphere, because... yeah, there we go. Just a little bit more. We are on a collision course with Eve now. Well, almost. It'd be hard to see that, but that's appears to me to be a collision course. And we're going to come around the South Pole. So let's just leave that for now. I'm going to get to this rather precarious issue of rescuing Bob. Bob will need rescuing, of course, but before we do that, let's not go to the VAB, but instead, maybe we could go to something else. Maybe we can go here. And... well, we did have the ability to perform science around here. Well, that's the active tab, I think. We will just have to see here. I think it would be better for us if we just wait for something to come up, because we do have available resources for that. So let's rescue... yeah, let's go ahead and rescue Bob. Now, incidentally, I recorded this instance of me rescuing Bob, and you know, it almost worked. But then I crashed, of course. Oh, let's not use that. Let's use the gnat. Where is it? I accidentally killed Bob in the process, and that is no fun. If we could avoid rescuing or killing Bob, then I think that would be great. Let's make all haste on this, because Bob really does need to be rescued. In fact, I was about to post this failure of mine, and then I realized I was missing half the video. So we'll see this guy get into orbit here. What I'm going to do off screen, I believe, is I'm going to launch a couple of satellites so we don't have to worry about fulfilling those contracts. And those would definitely be nice. Because we do want the money. I'm thinking, I was briefly tempted to upgrade the contract center. But that's a bit of an issue because it cuts into our funds. And, I think we'd be better served, to be quite honest, by upgrading our science facility. I mean, we've got contracts that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars now. This is a bit of a minor setback. But there's really nothing we can do about it, not if we want Bob to come back in one piece. And we're just going to have to deal with that. Now you'll notice, again, I have these liquid fuel tanks attached. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a little bit of excess fuel left over. And that's just the nature of the beast. I tried doing what I did with the other vehicle and putting it on top of one of these tall NASA Pack SRBs. And it just didn't happen. We targeting the moon still? No, but we are beginning to get slightly off our deal here. So it's about time for us to turn over anyhow. That is not the best thing that could happen to me at the moment. And we are losing velocity. And you know what, there's little that can be done about that. We need to get our time to apoapsis. More or less on the mark here. So I'm going to do my best to maintain inclination here. I'm not going to do a perfect job of it, of course. But, I mean, we're okay in terms of fuel. I'm going to make sure that we maintain our fuel here. And before too long, I'm just going to do what I can to follow that vector down. In fact, let's consider that. Get a little bit more control here than we want, even with fine control on. But we're getting out of the atmosphere soon. we just want to manage our nodes here, our inclination. And main engine cutout is about to happen, so we need to make sure that that is well taken care of too. Oh, okay, let's... That is kind of unfortunate there. We have plenty of time until apoapsis, though. And it would be good for me to raise my periapsis some. How close are we to the moon? We're pretty far off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my ascending node just a little bit until we're at 0. And we will get this guy up into orbit. So hey, why not? This is actually not a bad little deal here. And so I think we should take advantage of this. We still have plenty of fuel in our transfer stage here. And that's actually a pretty good thing. If we can manage our inclination in such a way that... Oh, we'll just do a little bit of time warping here. I mean, we pretty much want to be equatorial anyway. And so I'm going to burn here at 9 seconds. And this should get us up into orbit. Now, there probably is a little bit of question over whether or not I'm going to be using any mods. And the answer to that is yes. I do plan on maybe using, not MechJub, but you can already see I had another mod installed. I had Kerbal Engineer, which so far I'm not using for anything really other than simplifying the math. We'll just get this guy on over here like this. I think we're still poised to crash into the planet here. That's 14 kilometers. Let's just double check that. Let's focus on the moon. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. We are more or less level in terms of our inclination, so I'm going to get this guy going, and I think we would probably be pretty well served by maybe going over here. It's a minute and 45 seconds, so minute and 46. I'm gonna go with 48. Seems to be about right to me. Or is it? Yeah, I think 48 is it. We will just get this burn going. And we should have a pretty good idea here. If we want to make any inclination adjustments, we can. It might be kind of useful. But in reality, there is this issue with Bob being able to get into orbit properly here. Or, maybe Bob can wait just a few more days, trapped in his little tin can. And it won't take too long for us to complete this burn. So, let's bring this guy in. Ooh, that is a bit too much. Fortunately, I do have RCS on here, and I do want to raise this a little bit higher because of time warp. We still have plenty of fuel with which we can land. So, let's talk about, you know what, I'll just go ahead and launch the OS4. Although I do want to do a couple of things. I think I might go ahead and get a couple of things here done. That guy is not really worth it. Let's see if we get another contract one like this. Well, that is definitely interesting. We do get a lot of science for it, and we do get a fair amount of prestige for it, which, in light of recent events, may not be such a bad deal. And, here, Minmus might be easier to affect some of these temperature changes. Well, it's really a hard thing to figure out which one we want to do. I would prefer if we did not have to go onto the surface. And so despite the fact that this does have a little bit less of an advance, I mean, I'm definitely going to take... This one is not worth our while, I don't think. We have several days to figure out what we're going to do there. That is a hard contract to turn down. It's a lot more science, so I'm going to take it. Because we can send some people out there if we want. But yeah, I'll show you real quick. I'll at least launch the mission towards Minmus. And we will have plenty of fuel for it. I'm going to show you the upgraded 1.4S stack that is now using our improved Dylan when we rescue Bob. Then we can go ahead and improve that as well. Or send him back out there to get that other contract, because that is worthwhile and he has cost us a fair amount of money. Let's target Minmus real quick. And bring this guy up. And we're not going to be able to easily tell from our launch. Well, actually, no, we will. I'll just try to fly this guy up. The only real difference is that I added in these new decouplers that prevent this guy from crashing. So let's get a move on here. we're going a little bit fast. A little bit faster than I'd like to. Anyhow. Otherwise, this is more or less the same design. And this is just fine for Minmus. If we had decided to collect science on Minmus first, it would actually be pretty good. But as it stands, we are not able to do that just quite yet. So, yeah, we're going to send this guy up, and I just want to show you that let's see, how are we doing on these guys, by the way? We should be about right on this. I wanted to show you that I did fix the weird separation issue. And there's, of course, that. But that in addition to this, we have also done other things as well. Now, we are maybe not in the best place for this. I need to be watching my fuel. By the way, make sure we do not. There we go. This is much better to my way of thinking. And we will have to recover these guys, it seems. Still plenty of time to apoapsis here. And I will see you once we get some of these other satellites launched. Okay, so we are back, and I thought I would just summarize what we did in the interim. We have a Sat-1 NS2 going towards Minmus. That'll reach there in about 5 days. We also have a manned mission that'll land there as well. We will probably at some point want to set this to where we have a bit of a better encounter here. But for now, that will take about 7 days. Nat-1, of course, has another 5 hours or so. Roughly, about a day to get there. So I thought I would launch this other satellite, which I have named OS4. Now, I just realized this is somewhat in breaking with tradition for us, because OS was meant for the orbital shot series, and we're somewhat past that. But I have a very small stack here. Plenty of Delta V force. We just have to get into a synchronous orbit here. And we will want to get back here pretty soon. We're going to hopefully achieve orbit pretty soon. And the idea is that we need a materials bay on this satellite. I don't really know how far up we have to get. But we're going to go ahead and launch it anyhow. We have more than enough fuel here. And it gives us an opportunity to get a materials-based study from up here. Where are we now? You know, I think we're actually right on the ascending node. We have to hit 33 degrees on that. So I'm just going to turn on the RCS, because I don't know if this thing will flip out or not. But let's think about this. If we go south, as we're taking this, you know, way out here, then we should be able to get out there just fine. I don't really care too much to deal with our inclination changes, but we do want to get as close to matching that inclination on launch as possible. And so, this guy does have plenty of fuel, more than enough for our purposes at least, and plenty of RCS too. Given the distances that we're going to travel, we want a lot of RCS. I'm going to turn that off now. I think we have sufficient control over our deal here. So we might have burned a little bit keeping the sky straight, or none at all. And let's just begin now. We are getting pretty close here. Are we raising or lowering our ascending node? We want that ascending node to lower. Okay. We'll jettison these guys. It will affect us somewhat slightly because I did not upgrade the decouplers on this. And we need to get closer to south, it looks like. Maybe. Okay, that ascending node is going the wrong way. So there we go, we'll just lower this guy as much as possible. We may not be able to do much to take care of this. How's our time to apoapsis doing? We are doing just fine, so fuel should become a concern here as well. Anything we can do to lower this. My guess is probably not. We want to go as far south as possible here. And that is the end of that stage. Well, we're doing okay on this. I'm going to begin, I will make that inclination change when we get close by. And Kerman periapsis is actually pretty high here. I don't know what our altitude will be. I don't really want to collide with the moon, though. That is not going to be good. And I'm thinking, if we can get this guy in line here, at least just a little bit, we'll be okay. We're going to do a little bit about this. I'm going to keep a target on the net so that we can tell how close we are to making this burn happen. And you know what, in reality, I want this guy to be a little bit shorter. But we take out most of the delta V here. So let's give ourselves an eccentric orbit here. Of some kind. And it looks like our ascending node will be right here. Now, that is very interesting. Why is that node showing up as in the next several minutes? Very peculiar, to say the least. Okay, time for us to go. I'm trying to minimize these satellite missions because we do need them. It's very important, in fact, that we do have them. But we want these guys to be as close as possible to, not being shown because they're kind of boring. I mean, once you do these satellite missions once, then you find that there is some amount of difficulty in really getting them going again. Now, we want, really, I think we should maybe plan to take some surface samples of some kind whenever we get the new science building unlocked. So I'm not sure if I'm going to leave these guys on the planet. We will have a fair amount of science that we could unlock, though. And that'll be very nice for us. We are right at 33 degrees here. And that will pretty much get us set. I'm happy with that. Let's line these guys up here. If we can. I believe it's hard to tell, really. We'll want to get out there and see what our apses are looking like here. Because we are quite a fair deal away. So let me just get out here. It looks to me as though Apoapsis may be the best place for this inclination change. And it looks like I would be mistaken. So we'll just dip around here until we can find the thing that gets us the best change. And oh, come on. We'll just have to see here. We need to be pointing up, I believe. So let's get this guy an appreciable change in inclination at least. This is actually a bit much. We would actually be better off, I think, by stretching out our apoapsis. And then maybe reducing this. Part of the issue here is that we'll be hitting the moon. We're at least 3 degrees off, so we have that going in our favor. It'll take us 12 minutes to get out there. Still plenty of fuel. Okay, we're a little bit on the late side here. That's not going to matter much, though. And we just want to get to our target periapsis of 13.5 megameters. That'll change our orbital period quite substantially. Given how close we are, I want to burn a little bit to the south here to lower our descending node. And there we go. We are actually really far out. Let's see. Given our present position, we're really close to the planet. I'm not going to burn here. This is in 19 minutes. And this is 5 days. So I'm going to leave this as a little pet project for now. We have a lot more fuel available to us. I think as long as, well, you know what, we might as well lower that apsis just a little bit so that we're at periapsis or apoapsis when we're ready. So that was, what, 18.9? Let's extend this out. Just a little bit. If we can find our Kerman periapsis here. We can have ourselves a synchronous orbit. So in about 2 days' time, we will at least be in the right orbit here. And all we will need to do then is find our descending node and raise it. Probably a little bit easier said than done. Periapsis is still quite high here. Yeah, it looks about right. I'm gonna have an intercept here where we will cross periapsis in several days. In 8 days, so we're going to have to be careful here for sure. And in fact, why don't we do what we can to get periapsis as low as possible? Well, you know what, that's in 5 days. I'm going to worry about that later. For now, we have a spacecraft to worry about. The Moonmite Talarian, or the Gnat rather, wherever that is gone. That still has about 5 hours. Let's just get ourselves fairly close in. This looks like a place where maybe we could... Well, maybe we missed our inclination change. That's a bit of a shame. I will leave that for later. We still have 3 hours, so I'm just going to switch to this guy here and try to get him landed. You can see we still have plenty of fuel here. And we are coming in on the correct side. There is a bit of an issue here, of course, which is that we're, first of all, very slightly inclined here. I'm just going to set this guy as a target. And for some reason, I have lost the ability. I guess because we're in the middle of an SOI change. Let's try that now. Yeah, I've lost my ability here to place maneuver nodes. So let's try to get that done. At least for the time being. We could launch other satellites to the moon as they come. But, yeah. We'll do that. We'll just get the Gnat set up here for our, approach. And it looks like we're coming in, if not on the right side, we're at least coming in on a good side. And why am I not able to place maneuver nodes here? This is utterly ridiculous. I'm gonna have to eyeball this. Well, in this case, because of the fact that I cannot place maneuver nodes for some reason or another, I am just going to have to eyeball it. Oh, we have a maneuver node right now that we need to get rid of. There we go. It turns out we have plenty of fuel to do this. So rescuing old Bob here isn't going to be an issue. We have 9 minutes to do this as well. I'm gonna zoom in and see if maybe we wouldn't want to make an inclination change. hard to tell really. We look like we're on a pretty decent inclination already. So what I can do here is I can lower this down to something like, oh, I don't know, 2 kilometers. 1 kilometer is a bit much. And we should be okay on this. I'm just going to get a burn time here. 22 seconds, so we need to burn right at 11 seconds or so. And then we are going to have to as well continue our burn after that, because we are now committed to landing. And it's not going to take much in the way of fuel here. We have plenty of burn time left. In fact, way more than we need. But I do want to get this guy fairly close. And what is our apoapsis now? Just a little bit more. Okay. That actually was a little bit too much. We're coming in too fast. So my idea here is to use the rest of this stage in order to land. We're going to land as close to Bob as we can. And that means we need to get in fairly close here. We're at the point to where we want to retro burn, I think. Or get close to retro burning. Because we've cleared these peaks here. I'm going to get rid of the target velocity because that is very confusing. And there goes that stage. Now we just need to land. Now we are quite a deal off here. And that's in no part due to the facts that... I mean, I've done okay, I guess, with this. But we still have surface velocity to worry about. We're going to just drag that over here. And this should actually be really close to where Bob's at. I'm going to point north just a little. And yeah, I think now we are ready to perform our burn. We want to get as close to Bob as possible without killing him. And not being that far away. Whoa. Okay, that was a little bit too sensitive. It would be nice if maybe we could land right next to Bob. Though the likelihood of that is probably questionable. And 2 kilometers really isn't that much separation anyway. Oh, it's all really just a matter of being able to land right next to him and not using so much fuel that we can't get off. Well, the surface will be popping up soon. Now, I think this is okay for Bob to walk. But we will have to be very careful. As we are cutting it kinda close on the fuel. And killing Bob at this point is out of the question. I'm going to attempt to get Bob. Whoa. Okay, there's obviously an RCS balance issue there. Or we've landed. That's what that is. We have landed and need to get back up because we are on a slope. Although maybe rolling this guy over. You know, it's faster in getting Bob to walk. Let's do this one more time. I think we're upright now. And Bob's within range here. So Bob is simply going to take his data here. We're gonna grab that one guy here and see if maybe... I think we have enough to get into orbit. I don't think that'll be a problem. I'm not really going to bother if we don't. I guess we forgot to take the... Forgot to keep this data, it would appear. Okay, let's try this again. So that we can grab our thermometer data. And Bob's just going to fly over here. We need to be very, very careful about this because Bob will quite readily kill himself. And that is going to defeat the purpose of the mission. Oh no, we are coming in way too fast, it looks like. Okay. Well, Bob is now rolling up the hill and spazzing out. I think it may be okay. Let's see how much EVA fuel we have. We have plenty of EVA fuel. Well, that's not going to be an issue. Unfortunately, Bob's lights are defunct at the moment. And Bob is probably about to faceplant into the sky if we're not careful. EVA fuel is still good, I think. We haven't passed it. So Bob's gonna take quite a nasty fall here. But, you know, it seems maybe like we're simply not as agile as we used to be. You can't run either, it seems, on the planet. Let's just bring out our jetpack again. Either the gnat is moving, which does not appear to be the case, or we are moving. And the trouble with having no light is that you can't really tell when something like this has happened. I think the issue is that we're at an altitude distance, or difference rather. Okay, we are going to need to scale ourselves back here in a bit and walk the other way, I think. I can sort of see it. I sure hope that we have... Now, this is ridiculous. I forgot to get the science data. Which means Bob is just, or somebody's gonna go back and get it. Maybe somebody who can make the distance. Right now, we just want to get Bob home. And that shouldn't be hard to do. In fact, I have half a mind to transmit some of that data. I mean, we got most of the important things here. But Bob's been through enough. I'm not going to make him walk all the way back. We are, however, going to make him get in. And given the amount of fuel we have left, I think we need to take off now. It would be very good for us if we're able to effect a rescue with this amount of fuel. We still have plenty of monopropellant left, although I don't know if it's enough for us to really come back and do anything. And I believe that we could possibly... It's going to take 500 something meters per second of delta V. That is somewhat disconcerting. I mean, that essentially means that we have wasted our time with Bob, who, you know, is at least not dead. If, you know, we can maybe raise our abscess a little bit. Or maybe we can get around that. But, I don't think we're gonna have enough fuel to get back up into orbit because I did not plan this out. We are fairly high up. If I could utilize our monopropellant here to get us up and going, then that would work. And you know what? We'll at least try. Because I do not believe at this point that there's much of a chance that Bob is going to be rescued. We've exhausted all options for him. Except maybe... Yeah, he's toast. You know, maybe we can grab science in space here. I don't think we have an antenna on here, so we'll just take what little data we have, and Bob is just going to have to attempt to land, because there is no real safe way of doing this. And okay, Bob, I think, is doomed, because he can't even Oh, there we go. Okay, quickly, Bob. You could perhaps survive this if you're able to null out your velocity. Or, perhaps you could go the other way. But I think not. I think, we have too much in the way of velocity for us to really take care of this. If we could just get you into orbit, that would be nice, but you don't have enough energy. And so instead, we just need to null out your horizontal velocity as much as possible. And then really hope for the best, because there's really nothing else we can do. Okay. Part of the issue is that we're not facing prograde. We're going to have a bit of a rough landing. A very rough landing, actually. And this time there's not really much we can do about it except try to slow Bob down as much as possible. If we could get him to land on his helmet. And then that might actually work. However, it doesn't really look all that good for Bob here. And I don't think RCS is going to be enough. Oh! I take that back. RCS was enough. But we can't really do much now. We have to get to Bob and hope that he is able to survive. The time acceleration may be a good thing to do here. Okay. Well, Bob, we will just have to try again. This time I'll have to be a little bit less aggressive, I think. Maybe put more fuel on that thing. But at any rate, we don't really have much that we can do now, except maybe... maybe we could leave that for, I don't know, buried treasure. I am thoroughly convinced that if we keep on sending rescue missions, however, that this is going to become an issue. So Bob is just going to have to wait. I guess technically you can survive a month without food, so maybe, everything going the way it is, maybe it'll be okay. But this has been Thy Lord Root, and until next time, I will see you later.